I'm very excited to introduce you today Trunk Text. Trunk Text is one of the many products from Trunk Tools. We are currently the industry leader when it comes to generative AI in construction. We built the brain behind construction, and we built it from people from the field for people in the field. Because ultimately, the construction projects that you're winning or losing, that is happening in the field and not in the ivory tower. So for the next time, Andy, when your phone is just blowing up with Procore and messages and phone calls, why wouldn't you just use Trunk Tools? Trunk Text is our generative AI product where you can just simply text a phone number or any question about your construction site. And within a few seconds, we're not just giving you the answer, we're also giving you the link to the original source document. So that instead of you walking back and trying to figure it out on Procore or ACC, you can just simply ask us and forward it straight to the person who needs it. So your phone stays calm every single day. How does that sound, Andy?
That sounds amazing, but who are you?
That's a question many in the room will probably ask. What does a woman like me at a conference like this? I also gave the keynote, by the way, 4 weeks ago at Groundbreaking Women in Construction, which was the first conference in construction where I had to wait for the bathroom. Anyways, here we are at the Men's Conference from ENR, and here quickly to why am I actually allowed to speak up on stage here for you. I started my career when I was 12 as a carpenter, so obviously I'm involuntarily in construction and kind of involuntarily here. No, jokes aside, I started my career because I come from a poor background. My dad was a carpenter, so he made the kids work. So I worked my way up, eventually became a superintendent, switched over to the GC side, became a PM, PX, you name it, and ultimately ended up in the worst part of construction, which is founding a construction tech startup. I also hold a PhD in AI and construction at Stanford MBA, so I know a little bit about what we're talking about today, but honestly, I just have a phenomenal team around me that actually knows how to build AI from construction people for construction people. Does that answer your question?
It sure does.
So let me talk a little bit really quickly about what Trunk Text is before we actually jump into asking some of the real questions. Let me tell you a story. This is a Suffolk construction site in New York. It's a one Highland building. So this building is about 400 feet tall, and we asked Suffolk when they started using our software, it was like, hey, give us access to all your documents. Meaning give us access to everything that's on Procore, on SharePoint, on ACC. That includes RFIs, specs, submittals, drawings, you name it. Raise your hand if you think we got more than 1,000 pages of documentation. Okay, I mean, everybody, come on, a spec itself has 800 pages, right? Keep your hand up if you think it has more than 10,000 pages of documentation. Keep your hand up if you think it's more than 100,000 pages. Okay. Keep your hand up if you think we got more than 1 million pages of documentation. Very few hands up. We received a total of 3.6 million pages of documentation. This is a $500 million construction site, okay, pretty average. This is not just insane, but you as a GC sign off from the owner was like, hey, I have built this building exactly as specified on 3.6 million pages. That is not just insane, it's humanly impossible. By the way, if we go back in time when everything was paper and we were to print and stack 3.6 million pages on top of each other, the stack of paper is 3 times as high as the building. This is what we do as GCs, right? We tell the owner that's a good idea. If I asked Andy to actually read 3.6 million pages, and he's a good reader, it takes Andy 50 years to read that. That's not the time we have, it takes us 30 seconds. Why is this the problem in construction? This massive amount of data is happening in construction because we have a lot of different people making decisions in construction. And that's a good and a bad thing, right? But we get submittals from the subcontractor, we get the drawings from the architect and from the subs and so on. And the one thing we do not have in construction that we have in almost any other industry is kind of like clash detection. I know we tried it with BIM, but we have no way right now to do this. When I step into my other life, which is software developer, we actually do this, right? There's massive amounts of people writing code, and then we merge it together, and we actually have bugs, right? The software breaks. Do you know what a bug is in construction? It's rework, and it's happening on site when everything is too late. When you're about to pour concrete and you realize actually steel is not done, or the steel is in the wrong place, right? The time when we discover bugs in construction is so late, and this is why you in your budget, right, you have a budget with beautiful thousands of lines, and then there's one line which says rework 10% of the construction cost. This is the problem, this is what we're trying to solve. The only way to do a 2-dimensional clash detection in construction is if all of this information was in one brain. And that's what we built. We built an artificial brain behind construction that is perfectly digesting every single file type that you have in construction, and is not just digesting it, but it's parsing it, it's vectorizing it, it's memorizing it. And by the way, this is available today. Everything that I show you today is something that you can buy today. We have a booth over there. A little bit of dropping here. But I just didn't want to show up at FutureTech and show you something that you might be able to buy 5 years from now. I know it's FutureTech, and I know it's cute, and we all love to talk about rainbows and unicorns. I do not. I come from the field, and I like to tell you what you can actually buy. So that's what we built over the last 3 years, a brain that is perfectly built to digest millions and millions of pages of construction, and a brain that is trained for your specific job. Not just AI that is trained for construction, not just AI that is trained for Gilbane, but AI that is trained for your job site. Because ultimately, we're reinventing the wheel every single time.